All right, we are recording. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right. We have
Hi.
our guest today, Jean DeCaro, from another member of the SAS on the SBC team. She's going to be talking about mindfulness and hopefully some awesome therapy tricks to help us feel good in time of Corona and civil
Yes, well, thank
unrest.
you, Jean. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming on with us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it. This is exciting.
So, how's everybody doing?
This week has been tough, to say the least. It's been really hard to focus. It's been really hard to stay in the moment and stay on track with work and everything else going on. I don't know about you guys, but just having coworkers to talk to in this time is very helpful, especially coworkers that do the same thing you do, coworkers that are therapists and clinicians and can actually ask you how you're doing and process how you're doing and kind of feel the same way. So that's really good for me. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah, it's been a week, right? Like, I think it's about 2 weeks, honestly, of just, you know, just tension and anxiety and, worrying about, not only do we already have Corona, but now we have, situations going on with human beings that are terrible, and it's been alternate times scary and hopeful, and I think that's a big thing, is like to alternating between hope and fear a lot of the time, right? And worry.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I have found myself having a hard time tearing myself away from the news. And it's happening minute by minute. Things are happening, things are changing. I think a lot of people were strongly moved by the murder of George Floyd. And it's been, and in the age of social media, you get to see everybody's reactions in real time. And the images that we've been seeing, like Zach was just saying, some of them are so hopeful and so inspiring. And then some of them are just bleak and hard to believe that this is our country. This is where we're at.
It's funny that you bring that up, because since I'm moving to an area that people were worried about because of like looting and rioting and all those things, it does kind of make you really scared. And the other day when I was driving in that area, I saw a peaceful protest happening and police blocking off the street to make sure that these protesters are safe, and they followed them they went along with them. So as the protest moved and they began to march, the police marched with them. They blocked off the street so that they can march. And it was a really nice thing to see. It was nice to see police officers coming together with the protesters and, standing in solidarity. And I saw that firsthand, like I was witnessing it. And then with social media, you see certain things happening in different areas. And I saw a friend of mine that I went to school with. He still lives down in the area. I went to Illinois State, and they were doing a protest outside of the police department. And the police, they're all lined up in front of their building, and the protesters are all in front of them. And so I thought, like, oh goodness, I'm about to see something really horrific. But no, the police officers kneeled. Every one of them took a knee, and to show like they were peaceful and they were with them. And my friend, it looked like he was like the leader of this protest, and he was standing in front of a police officer, and I guess this police officer was and he might have been a chief, I don't know. They were all dressed the same, so I couldn't really tell, but he's like, we're with you. We're upset too. He said, what I saw sickened me, and we want to stand with you. We just want to make sure that everyone is safe. We want to make sure that everyone can get their point across without anyone getting hurt. So how can we do that? So they're having an open dialogue. They're having an open conversation. So the police had his men stand down, and my friend had his blowhorn and talked to the rest of the crowd and telling them to stand down. They're with us. And it was the nicest thing I have ever seen, because you never know. Like, we all look at the police and think like, okay, well, they're not going to stand with them. They're not thinking the same thing. But they did, and they stood with them, and they wanted to be right next to them, not against them, not in front of them, but with them. And that was nice. And you even see like smaller protests, like the little kids standing on the corner with their signs. It's great to see until you see a sign that's not so
nice or
yeah,
supportive. I think for me, like, go ahead. Like, but for me, like, what's really been, moving, and like, I kind of mentioned, like, there's like some anxiety and some fear. It's because, like, kind of going back to George Floyd, like, I kind of see him. He's a community member of ours, because we serve so many people in our community, from different neighborhoods that we encounter and work in through our jobs, right? We have a really diverse population of people we work with, all over, our area. And, I think when I think about that, I'm like, that's a man I've worked with before, somebody who is in a similar situation to George Floyd, right? That he's a member of a family who's lived a life similar to other people I work with on a daily basis, right? And it hits you really hard when you really think about it, right? Because we're out here really trying to help people in, all sorts of circumstances. And even though it happened in Minneapolis, it's a reflection of our community, right? And like, one thing that struck me is like, in a lot of ways, what made us different, what has kept that from happening that blatantly here? What kind of things happen that we just haven't had the luck, or not luck is the wrong word, but the opportunity to see a video of it happening here, right? Like, people we work with, people who, in a sense, depend on us, right? And it kind of keeps, that's where my thought went, is like, what are we doing as therapists, as clinicians, as people who have the ability to, in a lot of ways, give people a voice, right?
I agree. Like, what are we doing? How are we helping our clients? How are we helping them through it? And I think a lot of my sessions this week have just been, that's the first thing they want to talk about. And you have kids like as young as maybe 6, and then as old as maybe 18, and it affects each of them differently. And it's nice to see that they're open to the conversation, no matter, like you said, we serve different groups of people. And with each group, it's like they all feel a certain way, and they all have this thought process. And it's nice to be able to have open conversations with people you might not even thought you might not think that they're too affected, or you might not think that they're having these conversations at home or able to, but they're open to having that conversation with you. And so for me, I know that's been what's keeping me going this week. And having the conversation with your coworkers and your family members and people in your community, like, just having that open dialogue can really ease a lot of the tension or the frustration or the anxiety you may feel.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And with my clients, it's kind of a shared trauma. because we're all going through it, through both COVID and now everything that's happened since George Floyd was murdered together. And they're all over the place the way I'm all over the place. Some of them are scared and frightened about what's going on. I have a client that works in a grocery store in an area that was looted. And she's afraid. She's like, I don't know what's going to happen. And we had to close early. And so she's scared. And then others are angry and they're upset about what happened. And then I had an 11-year-old boy who was like, oh, I don't pay any attention to that. I'm just going to go play video games.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That's okay. We all need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's okay to check out sometimes because the news is overwhelming. Not
I have clients
take a break.
But I have clients who, like, one of my clients, we had a really good conversation about all of this. Like, that was like probably, that's what she wanted to talk about, right? And it was enough. One of her big coping mechanisms is video games. And it got her attention away from that. That was like, it pulled her into like this reality, right, that we're all living with, But then like these conversations, I'm just going to say for young people I've worked with this week, we're in good hands, people. Like we've got a lot of smart kids who are really thoughtful and caring people, no matter their background.
Makes me feel great.
Right? So, yeah. So I guess kind of today our plan is to talk about, mindfulness and ways to kind of cope with all of these things that are happening, ways to set your mind at ease so that you can get rest, or, when you're starting to feel that anxiety come on, calm down a little bit, right? And Jean has volunteered to kind of talk a little bit about that. She's like, in my opinion, having worked with Jean for over a year now, she is really good at these types of activities.
Thank you.
My phone ringing there. My phone never rings, and it rang right there.
And I haven't worked with you that long, Jean, and with the COVID and me starting during COVID, I haven't even gotten to meet you in person, but just hearing you talk about your clients and the different coping skills that you use, and even the videos that you made for our agency, I can see like how well versed you are, and that's why I was really excited to have you on today, because I kind of wanted to see it live and see how it happens, and what a better way to do it.
Well, thank you both very much. So mindfulness, when people hear mindfulness, they tend to think of meditation and, get really focused on that. But mindfulness can be so much more. To me, mindfulness just means kind of bringing yourself back to the moment. And meditation can be a great thing. It's very beneficial to a lot of people, but especially for people who have trouble focusing and maybe have some trauma in their background, it can be really, it can re-traumatize, because those memories are in there, and when you start to clear your mind, they have a habit of popping back up. So it's not always the best thing. So today I wanted to focus on one particular mindfulness technique that I use personally quite a bit. And this is something, I have a friend who's a neonatology nurse, and she works a lot of weird shifts. And so her sleep pattern gets interrupted a lot. And this is something that she told me about a long time ago that I've then incorporated both with my clients and with myself as well, to help people calm down. And it's not one that you hear about quite as often. And it's actually just making a list. And I think I'll demonstrate it with both Zach and Mariah today, and they can be my guinea pigs. And you can make a list of anything. You can use names. You can be specific and say girls' names. You can say vegetables. You can say, city names. but you can really do this with anything. And then what I do is I go alphabetically. So for instance, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do vegetables. And then I'll say, okay, A, what's a vegetable that begins with an A? Asparagus. B, what's a vegetable that begins with a B? Beans. And one of the things I do with this is I'm not real strict about it. Are beans a vegetable? That does not matter because that's not the point of it. And if I can't come up with a vegetable, I might slip in a fruit and say banana. But just in my head, I kind of go through a list like that. And what it does is it brings your brain into the moment. It focuses you. Whatever things that are, especially if I have racing thoughts, I'm trying to go to sleep at night and my brain's just all over the place and it's thinking about what I have to do tomorrow and it's thinking about what I just saw in the news tonight. Making a list like that can bring your brain back into the moment and focus you. But it's not particularly stimulating. It's not like watching the news, which can be very triggering for a lot of us. It's not like making a list of like, oh, I have to remember to do this tomorrow, which can kind of wake you up a little bit. This is giving your brain something to do, but it's fairly boring. And so it can be really effective. And I've used it with clients in session when they start to get really upset. Maybe they're talking about something that was really difficult for them and they're starting to get really kind of triggered, to kind of bring them back down, bring them into the moment, help them calm down. And then I'll use it for myself the same kind of times. If I'm in traffic and I feel myself getting really, really angry because some guy just cut in front of me, I'll use this and it helps me calm down. Similarly, I use it all the time when I'm going to sleep at night. And usually I can go through through one category, one A through Z, and I'm out. Sometimes I have to like come up with another category and start over. But anyway, so that's the one I want to share with you guys today. Who wants to go first?
I'll do it.
Okay, Mariah. So Mariah, what I want you to do is first take a deep breath. Belly breath in all the way down to your stomach, and then breathe out slowly. Do that again. In slow, and out slow. Very good, very good. Okay. Now I want you to just kind of clear your mind, and we're going to talk about vegetables. And can you list vegetables for me, starting with A and going through, and we'll just go through like G, and just make me a list of vegetables.
You didn't say I needed to know the alphabet.
I've got faith in you, Zach.
Okay. Asparagus, broccoli, carrot, dill pickle, eggplant,
And if you come to a letter and you don't have one, this is not a test. Just skip right over and go to the next one.
Is garlic a vegetable?
garlic.
Sure, it is for this.
Yeah, we went through G. Garlic.
Very good, very good. And that's just a way to kind of give your brain something to do, kind of calm you down. It's not going to stimulate you. There is no wrong answer. It just helps focus. Okay,
you know,
Zach.
I do feel calmer.
Sure.
Actually, that's so crazy.
All right.
Okay, Zach, I want you to do cities, starting
perfect.
with A.
Annapolis, Bensonville, Chicago, Danville, Erie, Frankfurt, Georgetown.
Very good, very good. And that's
Pretty
it.
good. Yeah,
Better
it's
category.
pretty.
That's it's you can use it as much as you want. You can keep going if you're still feel kind of escalated. But it's just a technique that I have found very helpful in kind of bringing me back to the moment, calming me down, and it's a lot of times just going to sleep. But sometimes it's just like, okay, I really don't need to be raging at the guy who he didn't mean to cut me off, and I just need to calm down because this is not how the kind of person I want to be.
Yeah.
As it relates to our clients, have you ever used it during a crisis screening? Like if a kid is really escalated?
Okay. I don't use that one during crisis screenings, but I have another one that I use all the time during crisis screenings.
Cool.
And this is like therapists love this one. So you guys have probably heard of it before, but it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do the senses. So you start with sight, and first, what I always do first is I ask the kid, "Hey Zach, can you name the 5 senses for me?"
Sight, hearing, smell, touch, taste.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know those. That's great.
Sometimes.
And then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, this is something I use to help calm down. Mariah, can you take a deep breath for me? And out. In and out. Okay. Mariah, can you tell me 5 things you can see right now? And it can be anything.
My phone, my laptop, my coffee, my mouse, my water bottle.
Very good. Okay, let's all take another deep breath. And out. In. Hold it. And out. Okay, Zach, can you tell me 4 things you can hear right now?
My air conditioning, a car driving by, just the room, outside.
Very good, very good. And then you do the same thing. You do 3 things you can touch. We'll do that one. Okay, so take another deep breath in and out. Okay. Mariah, can you tell me 3 things you can feel? And it can be like my legs on the chair. It can be anything.
My elbows on my hands, my hair against my ear, my glasses on my nose.
Very good. Let's just do the whole thing. Take another deep breath in and out. One more time. In slow and out slow. Okay. Zach, can you tell me 2 things you can smell?
Coffee. Fresh air.
Very good. Nice. Okay, let's do the last one. Everybody take a deep breath in slow and out slow. One last time. In and out slow. Okay. Mariah, can you tell me 1 thing you can taste?
Coffee still on my breath.
Very good, very good. And with kids, especially younger kids, you will get a lot of really great answers for these smell and taste questions.
Yeah, I've used that one in session, but I don't think I've ever thought to use that one like during a crisis screening. That's why I asked, like, what do you use during a crisis screening to get them to calm down or to get them to de-escalate? Because I think that's the hardest part of our job, is that you never know how escalated a kid is until you get there, or until you're right there with them, or you can hear them on the phone. Like, since we're doing virtual, it's like, how do you get them to calm down enough to be able to talk to you?
Right. Yeah, that can be really hard. And what that does is it really brings them back into their body and paying attention to what's going on, not just around them, but with them. You know, what are you feeling? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? You know, and it refocuses things from whatever the crisis is to, okay, this is me, this is where I'm at, this is what I can see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. And it kind of makes them aware of all of their senses and kind of, and it takes long enough to do that it can help de-escalate a person.
Definitely.
I love that.
Definitely.
Thank you, Jean.
Yeah. And I just think, like, even just doing these kind of as a run through as a practice, like, there's something about it just, you know, it works even as just kind of a test, right? You know,
it does. And you know what? I have found that when I'm doing a crisis assessment, I don't even notice that I'm getting escalated because the person is having such a difficult time and I'm trying to figure out how to calm them down. And then by the time we get through with that exercise, I'm like, oh wait, I feel better too. You know, and you know, when somebody is really escalated, and I think we're all feeling that with what's going, to tie this back into where we started with what's going on right now, that escalation is contagious.
Yep.
And it's really hard to be calm when you have somebody in front of you who isn't. And that's our job right there. We have to be calm in a situation that is not calm, that is not okay, with somebody who is having, as Zach said in your previous podcast episode, the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. Things have just become unraveled. And, you know, that's our job is to be calm with all that going on, and to help them find a little bit of calmness so they can tell us what's wrong.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I feel like it's easier for me to calm someone down than it is for me to calm myself down. And like, not in the moment, but like when you're not working, like when I'm off the clock, like that's when I'm most anxious. That's when I'm most like agitated or escalated. It's like, okay, well, if I can do this with other people, why can't I do this with myself? Like, why can't I get myself to calm down? Why can't I get myself to go to sleep? And I think that's so weird. It's just like with doctors, some doctors are afraid of their own blood. And I think that's kind of how it's the same thing for me.
Right.
I'm afraid of my own emotions, my own anxiety, my own fears.
And I think like one thing that's interesting about all of like these techniques is like everybody can benefit from them, right? And, you know, yeah, we're clinicians, you know, professionals, we do this for a job, but, you know, it helps. You know, these techniques work, right? They're things that, you know, something as simple as just focusing your mind for a minute or two on names of cities, right? It focuses you to what's happening right in front of you, you know, and what you need to do right now. And I think one of the things that's, you know, I will broaden it out to an extent, but like, I feel like everyone in our communities, in our country, there's been a level of chaos that has kind of become natural in the past several years, where, you know, you feel it, whether it's, you know, really focused over the last several months. You know, these things that are happening, they're real. They hit us all in different ways and at different times. And, you know, you see disorder, you see chaos, you see people hurting, you know, it impacts you. If you're paying attention and you're seeing it happen, it impacts you. And especially, you know, I think for us working in a helping profession, you know, we want, one of our first instincts is like, well, what can we do to help? Right? And I think even finding ways, even if it's simple like this can help.
Right.
So,
I think that's such a good point, because while we are in a helping profession and we do use these techniques and things, we are first and foremost other human beings.
mhm.
And all of this impacts us. And, we have to remember to take care of ourselves so that we can be there for our clients.
Well said. And I think
Yep,
sometimes we forget that, but we have people like Zach, people like Jean, people like the rest of our team that kind of remind us we're people too. We get
people
tired
like Mariah.
Well, sometimes I don't remind myself as much as I should, but it's nice to have a team that reminds you it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing right now in our world, in our country, is that sometimes you do not need to be not quite okay for a little while to get to better, right? You need to be able to notice that moment where maybe there's a transition of some kind happening, whether it's mental or physical, or within your families, with your friends, within relationships. I think sometimes we forget about I don't forget about it, but part of change is pain, right? You're gonna have to do something that might not be the most comfortable thing in the world for you. It might hurt a little, but to get to that other side, you need to do something hard where you learn something, right? And you figure out something deeper about yourself or others. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, right? And as a world, as a society, as a world, as clinicians, really, as people who work with other people, we're learning on a fly in a lot of senses.
Well, thank you both for having me today.
Yes.
This is wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Yes,
thank you,
Jean.
for coming, and thank you for showing us these great techniques.
Yes.
And hopefully people watching this can do this on their own time and see that you don't have to be a clinician in order to do this on your own. Like, you can calm yourself down. It's just focusing in the moment, basically.
And also to note, Jean has made a couple of other really good videos for different coping skills and methods that are already posted
on this video.
Yes, on the I can never remember. Is it Sassy Team or Team Sassy Leiden? Anyway,
just remember Sassy. You can find us.
Yeah. So make sure to check those out too. They're really good videos, and it's been awesome again to talk and have an awesome guest.
Thank you both.
We hope to have you back soon.
All right, we will be coming to an end here momentarily. Please stick around. Wait, I forgot it's not working. Okay.